Oh, dude, look at that fat sizzling. Maybe I should have. Oh, beautiful. Look at that deliciousness. Hey guys, welcome to the wilderness. We're on the back 40 this time. Kevin's here and Don's here. They're going to be helping put together a shelter on this no food, no water, no shelter survival challenge. So for me, it's all about getting food. And for Kevin, he's going to try to fashion me a really wicked shelter from only the materials that we're going to find in the forest here. So we got a lot of dead standing cedar trees, and that's going to be used for our survival shelter. We got some other materials too, but right now we got to collect some cedar trees. It's so dense, the canopy doesn't actually let any light in. So we're targeting here is the dead ones in between. This is a really poorly managed forest. What needs to happen is the bigger trees has to be thinned out so that these smaller trees have a chance. This is considered almost a dead forest now. Animals don't like to come through here because there's no cover. You might think there's cover, but there's not really cover. It's dead. Squirrels will come through in here and that's about it. So we're actually doing the forest a service here by taking some of these out. So here we go, we got a couple of sticks already organized. These are deadfall sticks, don't worry, they're dead. Well, not dead, they're dead standing, not deadfall. They're deadfall after you knock them on the ground. And so we're not killing anything making this. I know some of the other materials we're gonna use in here, you're gonna be, you know, clapping that keyboard real hard and real upset about it, but too bad we live in a world of plastics. And so we're gonna make use of it while we still can. Pretty soon it's gonna be banned and obsolete. We'll come up with something better. A couple of sticks here, we measured these all out. We gotta get the frame structure built. So we got some longies and some shorties. Now the big project comes, we have to actually assemble all this stuff. Well, we're gonna take it to a better location than here, not level ground. We have an idea in mind. So we gotta get this all strapped up. We gotta take it over. All right, so we got our load here. We've kind of pre-cut them as per our design. I have no idea if this is going to work. This is an experimental shelter. So if it falls apart, well, we'll have to figure out another solution, or I'm just gonna go shelterless. We're gonna give it a good go. So we got poles that are 12 feet, 10 feet, and about 7 feet, and then we have our side walls. So we're gonna see if we can turn this pile of sticks into something that I can survive in. Hard. I am pushing. Push hard.
The easiest way to move wood is to hold the camera.
Well, this is the only flat spot in like miles and miles and miles. Mostly it's all swamp down in here. So this is the best spot that we could pick on the property. I've also got some hunting access over here. Try to maybe pick off a coyote or a squirrel or whatever. But this is going to be a nice area. There's some turkeys in here, but they're not in season, so have to make do with some other stuff. I'm hoping to maybe trap some red squirrels, but we'll see what we get into. First, we got a pile of work because there's nothing here for me to live in, and the materials that are around here are not super suitable. So we have some, well, some helpers. You guys aren't gonna like them, all of them? I like some of them, but not all of them. Let me introduce one of them right now. Yeah, that's right. We got some pallet wrap, plastic wrap, pallet wrap, I think they call it. We got a few rolls of these. We're gonna try to use, we're gonna make a compromise for you guys. We're gonna make a compromise here. I don't use a lot of plastic. Today I'm gonna use a lot of plastic. So what I want you to do is to hammer on those keyboard right now and tell me all the bad things that you guys know about plastics. The people who use plastics in their everyday life, what I want you guys to do is write all the good things that we know about plastic. One of them is it's not biodegradable. It's also one of the bad things about plastics. But you got to think about the good things. You wrap food in it, and food keeps from spoiling a lot less easily when it's wrapped in plastics. Also, you're surrounded by plastics right now, and you're hammering on your keyboard, which is made of plastics. Okay, so we're gonna start assembling this. The basic premise is we're gonna, well, if you've ever wrapped a pallet, which I presumably you haven't unless you're in shipping and delivery and receiving, I actually built B-boxes for a guy for a time, and we would ship out pallets of these B-box panels, which were made out of pine, and they were loose, you know, cut to like 18 inches or so, stacked on top of each other on top of a pallet. So what you have to do is you have to go around and 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 pull tightly every time, because the shrink wrap doesn't actually shrink wrap tight. I mean, I guess you could heat it, but most people don't. You just wrap it and cross thread it and cross wrap it and cross wrap it and wrap it again, and it ends up being a solid structure at the end of the thing, and then you can ship it without everything falling apart. Well, of course you can do this with boxes and other things as well. So essentially what we're doing here, we're making, this is going to be a side panel. So all it is toe screwed in to the top and the bottom. We've got it all measured out dimensionally. So there's a 12-foot piece on the top, and then there's a 10-foot on the bottom. That's because there's going to be a little bit of a overlap with the roof situation here. And the end walls are kind of going together like so. Room for a door. We'll frame a little bit in, a little bit more there. And then we got our roof pieces. This is going to be the biggest question, whether this is going to work when we put the plastic on, and if it's going to actually shed water, but we will find out in short order. And so all the panels are going to get wrapped in advance, and then we're going to put it together like a Lego set. So everything's looking pretty good. Just going to get finishing touches on there. We'll throw it up and see if this is actually going to work. Proof of concept. So it's going to be kind of like an A-frame on either side. We'll have a door in the front, and the back's going to be one solid thing. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is because it's so slanted on the sides that wrapping it, the plastic wrap's going to want to go up. So I think if what we do is we pull it tight and then smooth it down the edges, it should hold together pretty good. So Kevin's doing a lot of the building here. You can go over to his channel. He's going to explain more about how this is coming together. But basically what we're using is deck screws just to toe screw everything together. And that's going to make sort of a frame to hold the plastic, essentially. That's what we're after. Well, it's starting to look a little bit like a shelter. I don't think it would protect anybody from the elements yet because it doesn't have a roof. We've got our sides up. They look pretty cool. Actually, you can see through it, which is kind of neat. So you definitely want to make sure you're alone in the woods if you're doing anything that you shouldn't be doing behind closed doors, because there's no doors. Well, there might be a door here, but mostly it's open air and open visibility too. That'd be cool to hunt out of this thing, but I think the animals would see you. But it doesn't make a really cool, neat effect. These end walls were harder to do because we had to like stretch it on the angle, and the ceiling might come together a little bit easier. The side walls are like really cool because it actually looks like a window. I mean, you can still see through the end walls too, which is kind of neat. We got to get this roof on though, or else it's not a shelter. So we did shingle it kind of like you would a normal house. We made sure that we started at the bottom and went up, and of course, you know, starting in the bottom and top is relative, so we obviously flipped it for whichever end made sense. So this should shed water, and I'm hoping when we get the stove cooking, it's actually going to heat things up and it's going to melt together. That, or it's going to burn. All right guys, for the record, we only used one full roll of plastic wrap, so you can spare your outrage. I think this would be equivalent of using one tarpaulin probably like a half a dozen times and then throwing it out, which I know everybody does, because the tarpaulins don't last forever, just like this plastic won't last forever. This stuff's a lot thinner, so by math, since I don't use tarps that much, I'm bank even on this by person quota. So anyway, you can still smash the keyboard if it makes you feel better. All I know is that I'm going to be warm and dry, and that's what matters to me. And I made a really cool shelter in basically one day without breaking the bank. Well, there we go. It's final resting place. Come on in, have a look at this. Wow, it's so bright and lovely in here. Get cloudy out, but that means maybe we're going to get a little bit of snow or maybe some rain. It's a little bit mild here, but I think that's going to do for a shelter. How about that? From starting from scratch, having absolutely nothing, to having what's essentially a little mini cabin or maybe a hot tent. I don't know. I can't remember what I thought this was going to be when I first designed it. It looks like a miniature cabin. All we have to do is get that stove put in. The stove's going to be a weird one, right? And I wanted this to be big enough that I could put a cot over here on this side and then have enough room over in this area here where I could put the stove and then not keep it away from the walls and, you know, finagle it so that it wouldn't burn or melt the entire structure down. But that is a win. I would say that's a win. This is a $1,500 winter tent at minimum. Actually, it's more than $1,500 because it's actually bigger than my snow tracker tent by a long shot. We could actually fit 4 or 5 people in here super comfortably. Gotta slip away from the action a little bit because I know you guys want to know how I'm gonna catch some food. And I have a brilliant plan, and a lot of guys have been advocating for this. It's gonna show you a technique that I think I've developed that's gonna up your survival shipsmanship's game. Wow, we're making up words all the time. Survivormanship's games. Well, that's probably what you're already taken. Wilderness living skills. That one hasn't been taken. We'll use that. So I'm going to show you pretty neat trick. All right, boys and girls, we got the makings of something here. I got a little stick that's propped up on a, you know, medium-sized trunk. Since all the stores are closed, still, I put an order in at Princess Auto, $50 minimum order, and they sent me everything I wanted. Everything that you could want to survive in the woods on a mini survival challenge. So what I did was I ordered piles and piles and piles of rat traps. I got 11 rat traps here. I don't think I'm gonna set them all. I have in my mind I'm gonna set up 4, but I'm gonna do it in a pretty unique way. I'm not just going to scatter them all over the ground. I'm going to use this stump to my advantage. There's lots of different techniques, but I'm going to show you one that works really, really good. It works on mice too, so you want to keep paying attention here because you're going to want to set all your mice traps the same way I'm going to set this rat trap. And you're going to want to set your rat traps the same way too. So come on in, have a closer look. Mouse set trap, you need not the quick set traps. I don't like the quick set traps, they're garbage. Well, I feel that they're garbage anyway. So the trick is we're going to take an elastic band here. And this is the science behind the operation of this device here. Now, no animal wants to chew on metal stuff. They just don't like chewing on metal stuff. So what they do is they come in there and they start licking. They don't chew, they don't bite down, and then therefore they don't manipulate this device enough to trigger it. So we're going to take this, it's simple, real simple. All we're going to do is tie a knot, not one knot. So we want to make a gigantic bunch of knots in here, and what we can do is actually loop it around a couple of times here and produce a ball of rubber chewy materials, because all animals know that chewy things are good, but animals, when they start chewing on metal, they get well, there's a squirrel right now. I hear ya. We're getting all set up for you. So when you're all finished, this is kind of what it looks like. I pre-drilled a little hole here. That's going to come in handy in a second. And there's all that rubber band there around the activation device, and that's going to be key. The next thing is we need to figure out how to orient this so that we have the rat, well in this case the furry rat, the tree rat, coming in on an angle that we prefer. We don't want the rat to be jumping on this end of things, because then it's going to give it a big yeet that way, or we might end up with something worse like a tail catch or an arm catch. You never know. But what you want to do is try to get them angled into the trap the right way. I'm going to show you that right now. Now, if you're planning on doing this, make sure that you follow your local rules and regulations. I am currently and happily a licensed trapper in my area. And so now what I can do is trap red squirrels. We'll make it into a meal and more. So just make sure what you're getting into. Make sure that what you're trapping and catching is legal in your area, because every area is different and all the regulations are different. These rat traps are super useful for harvesting weasel as well. They'll work, except you're going to bait with a piece of meat because they're predators and not peanut butter as I did here. And for reference, if you want to set your traps like this for squirrel, I drilled a pilot hole through the T of trap, because that is going to keep this on the portion of the tree that I want to put it on and create a beautiful approach. There are all alternatives to setting these traps, and maybe we'll get into it another time. If you want me to do a whole series on trapping red squirrels, we can do that, and maybe even snaring them too. We'll see how effective this is. Again, it's an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. I hope it does. For bait, all I'm using is a little bit of peanut butter. It goes a long way. It smells strong, it's savory, and it keeps that squirrel licking. And over time, that scent and the oils are going to permeate into the rubber band, and it's going to be a lot longer lasting. And you can even catch squirrels, rats, mice, all those little tiny vermin a long time after you've run out of peanut butter, because they're still going to go back and start gnawing on that. Only thing left to do, we got a trail camera here set up so we can catch some of the action. I was hoping to put 4 traps out here to even the odds. I'm going to put one more up on the tree over here, and we're going to try that out, see if that's an effective way. We'll just hang it upside down on the tree, and that'll create a good approach for a squirrel as well. We'll see if they can commit. Other options are to put it on a horizontal branch, and that'll make sure that the squirrel's coming up to the tree to feast on it. But I want to try to just screw it in here and see if that works. Another benefit of screwing things down is that you're not going to have predators come in and steal your entire trap. Now, they might take the animal itself out of the trap, but you're less likely to lose your trap altogether. And also, squirrels are pretty strong, man, and so if they get caught and they are still alive, they might take off with your trap way off in the woods. You may never find your animal or your trap. Alrighty guys, now that those are set, we can go get the rest of the things straightened out for our no shelter, no food, no water survival challenge. I'm interested to see if we can get this stove set up. We got to get enough firewood to last the night, and I'm also wondering if this stove is actually going to work inside that plastic shelter. I got a couple tricks up my sleeve, and I got a few amenities I'm going to include in the survival challenge just to make things more comfortable. This is all about making things better than just survival. The no food, no water, no shelter survival challenge isn't really technically a survival challenge. It's more of a thriving challenge. And I have failed to come up with a word for it, so we're gonna call it like the Woodsman Challenge or the No Wilderness Living Challenge. Oh, we already did the Wilderness Living Challenge. That's when you do 7 days without any food. Did you guys hear that? That's the trap. The trap just went off. Oh boy. I just heard the click of the trap. Watch it all fall in the water here. I hope we got some food. Uh-oh, that's a black squirrel and it's not dead yet. I need a stick. Put you down. Oh. Well, that's a little bit of an ordeal. I didn't want it to happen that way. A freaking black squirrel in the trap. Oh, I'm shaking. it was, it just got its arm caught in the stupid trap. Oh, whew, that works. I mean, how's that for a success? I got peanut butter all over me now. Freaking gross. I hit it in the head a bunch of times, and it's doing the quiver still a little bit, but it looks all right. It's like it's gonna be dinner. Whew. I'm still hoping to get a red squirrel though. I'm gonna get greedy. Well, not greedy. As a trapper, I'm trying to harvest the red squirrels and then sell some of the pelts. They're worth 80 cents a piece. I know it's not a lot of money. There you go. That's gonna be our survival meal. It's a black squirrel. Black squirrels are they're native here, I guess. They're a variant. Well, I don't know if they're native. They're from Europe, I guess, originally, but they've been naturalized as far as I know. And this is a variant of the gray. We have grays and blacks. The blacks are supposedly better for surviving our cold winters because they have fur that's the color that absorbs that sunlight. And so that's the theory anyway. They're both the same species, just a different variant. And they both eat the same, but there is zero value in this fur. It has no economic value, so it's not a trap-related animal. It's considered a bycatch, but a positive bycatch. Delicious, delicious squirrel. All right, let's head back to camp. That was a success. I'm gonna reset this, see if we don't get another one. If we're gonna get cooking, then we need a tripod. Well, we need a tripod to boil some water too. So I got a little billy can over here. That handy, trusty billy can for boiling water and such. We got water and we got food. All we gotta do is make it through the night. Make it through the night. Now there's our chunk of meat. I actually ripped one of the arms off. That was funny. It's a little bit bruised when I smacked it with that stick. Anyway, all I gotta do is cut the stomach out here, well, right here, and then I'm just gonna pull everything out, just like I do for all small game. Simple as that. We got ourselves a little delicious meal. So not only do we get a delicious squirrel, but we got all of the fixings that go with a squirrel, plus a bonus. So we got a heart. It's always delectable, a little chunky morsel of deliciousness. We got the kidneys, and I always make sure that the gallbladder is removed. The gallbladder does not taste good. It's actually full of really bad stuff for you. And look at this treasure. This is the benefit of catching a squirrel, more or less in the winter, is that you're gonna get a ton of organ fat. And that organ fat is what's gonna keep me alive, but it's also what would have kept the squirrel alive if it had not been so silly about trying to get an easy meal. And now, this is gonna be my easy meal. Maybe I'll boil it in like a cup of delicious water and drink some fat. That's probably, I don't know, gotta be 300 or 400 calories right there, just in fat. If that was a piece of butter, that's a lot of butter. Yeah, check how greasy and well protected and well seasoned my knife is after that. It's like got a perfect sheen. I don't know if you can tell that or not. You see that? Beautiful sheen. It's like almost as good as bear fat. I wonder what it tastes like. Not only does it make a good sheen and finish on there, my hands are refreshed. They're not chapped anymore. So I can imagine, as long as this tastes good, this might be the new delicacy, squirrel fat. Not only can you clean your knife with it and season it, but you can cure your chapped hands. Maybe it's beard oil too. I'm not gonna do that today. Maybe another day. I did do bear fat one time. Kind of smelled like bacon. So at the end of this, I hope you guys will stay tuned. At the end of this, we'll find out if those squirrel rat traps worked on the red squirrel. We're gonna check them today, throughout the day, and then we're gonna go check tomorrow as well in the morning. And you know, this is a survival tool that you want to keep with you, right? It's very easy to pack. It takes no space whatsoever, and it's a survival tool, right? I mean, you could just plop it out, the easy setup. Just have a little bit of peanut butter. If you can't have peanut butter, I know everybody's gonna have peanut butter, but you can use like black walnuts, stuff like that. Wild apples, those all work. You can get creative too. I'm sure the squirrels are on all kinds of seeds and nuts, and so they're curious animals too. So you can, if you don't have peanut butter, I mean, peanut butter definitely stacks it in your favor, but there's other things you can use too. So Kevin working away here behind the scenes. It's got a door on here. I'm gonna make myself a tripod for cooking, and I'm gonna get a fire lay made. Essentially, I want to be able to boil water indefinitely. A tripod always makes things more campy. So whenever, every chance you get to make a tripod because you're at camp, do it. There's an article going around about all these fake bushcrafters in provincial parks, public parks, you know, state lands and stuff like that, who are actually cutting down live trees. Don't do that on private or public lands. Like, you're not allowed to cut live stuff. I'm on private land, and so I can do, with permission of the owner, things that I want to do, and that involves cutting live trees. But you do want a live tree for your tripod because you don't want it to catch on fire. And then the fire lay that we have set up here is all the offcuts that we used for the build, and that'll keep everything off the ground. You guys know the drill. When it's wet and there's snow, either dig down to the ground, and if you can't, make yourself a fire lay, and that'll keep all your coals and ash and all that stuff off the ground and the heat where you want it. Losing it in the snow, that's not good. So these parts of the woods does not have a lot of my favorites. White birch. It has lots of yellow birch. Yellow birch doesn't work as good as white birch. It doesn't have the big papery things. It has more like, if you're lucky, stringy bits. But this works good for like a tinder bundle because it's like already stringy. If you get an old mature one. I think something actually came through and wiped out a lot of the yellow or white birch, and for some reason maybe the yellow ones had a bit more resistance to whatever it was that killed them. But this one is a very shaggy feller, and it's going to be a lot easier to start a fire that way. Conditions aren't too bad for a fire. They're a little bit damp, but it's not raining. Look at the handfuls of this thing. Thank you, Mr. Yellow Tree. Yellow birch. You're very helpful today. All right, now that we got everything kind of situated, we're gonna move this pot, the billy can, off to the side. We're gonna have to run down to the creek. There's a lot of snow here, so there's always the temptation to just grab the snow, but I don't think that's much of a challenge. I think having to go down to the creek, I'll get some water. Yeah, I think there was a squirrel here in that one. Oh, we got our billy can, we got the axe. We're gonna go down and try to find a creek or running water system so we don't have to eat yellow snow. I mean, it's pretty white, but it's also pretty not white. But I got the axe with me just in case it's froze over. There's a possibility that that's happening, you know, because it's winter and things. And well, then we're gonna have to decide what we're gonna do with that squirrel. If we're gonna turn it into stew, which is the lazy man way of doing it, or we're going to try our best to slow cook it and still make it so it's not super chewy. And that's always the thing with wild game. Stew, long stew, that's good. But short barbecue with a squirrel, that's chewy. You're asking for trouble. Hey, the sun might come out a little bit. It's a good thing we brought the axe because, well, the creek is frozen over. And what's also kind of gross is there's like little poopies. There's a little poopy from something over there. And there's rabbit poopies and coyote poopies. So I guess it's a good thing we're gonna boil this. Let's see how thick this ice is. Probably not, well, it might be thick enough to walk on, but just barely. See that? Just barely. Ah. Oh, I think I just drank some of that poopy water that I didn't want to do. Survival. Okay, let's dig some of this slush out. Try not to mix it up with the bottom here. Well, there's a couple floaters in there, that's for darn sure. You can see the oils from my hands from that squirrel. I don't know, it's like, it looks like gasoline ripples, but there ain't none of gasoline out here. Little plant matters and things, some duckweed. I don't know, should be edible. Duckweed edible. Maybe we'll try one more scoop. I'm not a big fan of eating tons of floaters. Oh, that's better. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. No food, no water, no shelter. No way! That's how it should go. It's coyote tracks through here. I'm gonna have to set up some snares here at some point. It's a perfect little trail coming through here, through the swamp. Oh shoot, oh, I just went through. Dang it. Oh, freaking heck. Freaking heck. Well, I got rubber boots on, so I don't care that much, but I don't want to get mud all over the place. That was scary, man. You guys see that hole? That frightened me. I always got to be careful. I'm kind of in the floodplain a little bit. Like, oh, there's another one. Guess I'm a little bit in the floodplain here, so it's like there's a layer of ice and there's probably a layer of air, and you got to watch those hollow spots. A lot of times that's where deer and other animals get trapped in the water, because there's an air pocket there, or this really thin ice, so they're on, you know, a river system, and then they get to that one little spot that breaks through, and then of course they can't climb back up on the ice. Honey, I'm home. I mean, honey, you're home. I mean, we're both home. It's funny that you're inside here, right? Is it funny? I think it's funny. So here's my luxury item among many other luxury items for this survival expedition. This is my titon. Don't look up that in French. Téton en français. Don't look that up, because it's a funny word. It's a funny word for booby. I went to a French school, so we say les grands tétons. Don't look that one up. That's rude. If we're gonna make a fire, we need some wood. So Kevin's already started cutting some. Take the sled out, grab a whole bunch of it, and get that water cooking. Oh, I'm getting thirsty. Until I drink water, I haven't survived. Well, that part of the challenge anyway. I still gotta cook my food, because if I don't eat it, it doesn't count either. So things are coming along pretty nicely in here. It's nice to have a door. I do have a trick up my sleeve for if this is too tightly sealed. Stay tuned for that. And then we got my winter camping stove here all set up. Well, not set up yet. Kevin's gonna help me get that rigged up, but we have to get a chimney going out through the roof somehow, and then we have to also worry about the ashes and embers and stuff like that landing on it. So we have to figure a way to get that pipe moved away from the structure. I can tell you that it's a heck of a lot nicer in here climate wise, because it's not super, well, it's not windy, it's not warm in here, but there's zero airflow. Got a couple cool little crafts. We'll call them crafts. I think they're crafts. I mean, they're mancraft. We can have mancraft. You can have mancraft. Good friend Ray, Riverbend Longbows, made this really cool quiver. It's got a rabbit pelt on the top, and we got some wooden arrows, and the bow here, it's a long bow. I'll take it out later probably, but I wanted to show it now. He's got a wrist guard too, he just made for me. WB on the back, custom made, and I think he's selling these now. So you'll have to send him a message. You can find him on Instagram. I'll put the link down below. He does most of his chatting with me via Instagram. And then he made this thing, and I'm like, what the heck is this thing? I looked around a little bit. I'm like, I don't know. It's crafty, but I can't tell what it is. So there's a envelope, or a letter inside, I should say. Not an envelope. Well, there was an envelope, but anyway, it said, it's a tripod field chair. You make the legs. Well, that's crafty. Although I got to make legs now, I guess. So that's another project. We'll leave it there for now, and we'll see if we can't put that together. He even gave me a little bit of paracord to go with it. Pretty cool. I don't know if I get hunting with the bow, but if something stumbles through here and it's in season, I probably will try to get it. Now we can get a fire going. Sparks. Sparks is a big worry with this fire. We don't want them to be shooting up there this way, so we gotta watch which way the prevailing wind is. Sparks on the tarp shelter the saran wrap, no, plastic wrap shelter will be a problem. It will poke holes almost immediately. Although there is a couple layers there, so it'll probably just like get in between the layers, which is also not good. And I'm gonna use a lighter, because that actually is survival. Like you do the bow drill fire and people are like, you shouldn't do the bow drill fire because you can't rely on it. I'm like, yeah, you know you can't. And then I use a lighter and they're like, that's not survival. I'm like, well, pick and choose. I know you're different people, but you're both complainers. Stop complaining. So I'm gonna use a lighter, because that's, which you should use anyway. See if this birch bark lights. It's pretty windy. And I'm also using my left hand. Maybe I'll use my right hand. Ouch! Oh, windy. Yeah. There we go. I was sleeping on the job.
Well, trying to sleep on the job.
We gotta get that stove in.
Yeah, I don't think it's over here. It's like a big sunroof in here. It's like perfectly warm.
But it's all ready to go. I got it all. I got all the pieces. I got proof of concept. Let's see if it works.
Just some assembly required. Is that?
Yep. We got to make a hole in the roof, which is going to be a shame. And then we got to make sure that we it doesn't leak. And it's only going to get colder from here on out.
You know what you should do is just put a big pile of rocks in here.
Heat some rocks and then throw them in here.
No, it's like thermal mass, right? So like a greenhouse, you got the sun coming down, you're heating up the rocks, and the rocks radiate heat throughout the night.
It'd be like
just go collect some rocks.
It's gonna be like a steam house in here.
Gonna be something.
Well, let's see. We're gonna have a small fire in here because it's not that cold outside, surprisingly. So it's not like we need this, but maybe this is gonna be a long-term shelter. We're gonna leave it up here, see how long it lasts. So you guys have to keep watching. Subscribe to my channel. Check out Modern Self-Reliance. Subscribe to Kevin. See what he's up to. He's gonna cover this this build a little bit too. But yeah, maybe this is gonna last. Maybe it'll last. Maybe it'll take a snow load. I don't know. We still got the peak we have to fix because we didn't put tarp in it. I don't know. It might be all right. I don't know. But I think there's a gap. If you look on the inside here, it's not too bad. But I know if it doesn't blow off right away and it sits up there and it rains pretty good, it probably will end up being a problem. And then we don't want that to happen. We don't want water to get in between the frames here, because then it's going to get bad. It's going to get moldy and musty and all that gross stuff. So Kevin's working away on getting that stove installed. I'm going to get my squirrel going. I'm going to cook it the dirtiest way I can think of. Try to do it as slow as possible so that it actually is edible. Try to slow cook it. I think maybe if I put a little bit of a sear on it first, it'll kind of seal in the moisture. You know what? If it tastes really bad, I'll just throw it in the pot and it'll end up being stew. Looks like we got a good bed of coals here now, so we can probably throw it right on. How's that look for some caveman cooking? Got some adobo spices on there. It doesn't look delicious. It smells delicious. I'm just gonna prop this guy up on the fire. Got a couple hairs on there. It's not too bad. We'll singe them off. We call it like a mixture of spit roast and singe cooking. Yummy. Looks like we got smoke. Well, there's smoke, there's fire. And certainly it's not coming from the campfire. So I think Kevin's got this thing figured out. He's got the stove pipe going out the plastic chute without burning it. So that's some magic right there. Ooh, and is it warm in here?
It's like it's t-shirt and shorts weather in here, even though I'm still wearing my snowsuit.
Are you surprised we built this from like nothing? Pretty much nothing.
It's pretty much nothing.
Pretty much nothing. Handful of screws and a roll of plastic. Like one roll, maybe, and a quarter is all we use to make this entire structure. And then we could easily, you know, we could do additions. We can make patios. You can do all sorts of things. It's limitless. So maybe this series will continue.
We've got 4 rolls of plastic. That's like that's a whole subdivision.
I know. I got 4 because I thought I would use 4. I only used 1. That's it.
A whole subdivision.
Okay, could just keep going.
This is the solution to affordable housing right here.
It's the future.
It's the future.
Bubble domes.
You know what? It's the double layer that's really, it's the dead air space in between the pieces of plastic that's creating, like, it's not just a single layer.
Yeah, it's toasty. I could see like you could build this out, like you'd have to worry about, you know, some long-term damages from trees falling on it and stuff like that, because it's not going to carry the weight, but if you keep it in an open enough area, this thing's pretty slamming. I like it.
You can turn it into a sauna too. Look at,
It's so much more spacious in here than my hot tent.
make a steam room.
It's like the right size. And I think we got enough clearance. The stove's got enough clearance against the wall back here. I'll see. Like, we'll find out. But the plastic, I think, is probably, if anything, it's going to seal together nice and tightly. Look at the lighting in here. It's nice and bright. You don't need lights. Nothing. Is it melting?
It's not melting.
That's surprising. I thought it would get too hot here and melt.
It's the vent. It's the fact that it is drafty, right? It's drafty.
Yeah, it's working. And then there's air. If you're concerned with air, there's air spaces here along the bird's mouth edge here, whatever you call it. Kevin's saying I'm using the wrong term, but that's fine.
I don't know what it is.
Whatever that space is there is drafting air up.
The soffits.
Yeah, the soffit.
The soffits are pulling the air up.
Right, and this drafts around the door, so it's not like you're going to run out of oxygen or anything. And the floor too, there's lots of air coming in, so don't worry about that. But I do, like I said, I have something that you should always have with you when you're doing this kinds of tenting, and I'll show you that when I get ready for bed. Kevin's not going to stay here. He's not a survival expert. He's a builder, so he helped me put this thing together, but he's not going to spend the night. What, you going to spend the night ever?
You never know. Maybe if there's enough likes on this video, I don't know.
Maybe there's going to be lots of thumbs down because of the plastic. I'm concerned a little bit of plastic, but I don't care.
If there's a gajillion likes, maybe I will spend some time out here. You never talk about likes. It's always subscribe and.
I don't care if you subscribe. I don't care if you like the video. I wanted to see if I could do this. Like this came up in my head. I'm like, can't I do this? Is it possible? Turns out it is.
Turned out you can camp like a sandwich. In a plastic bag.
Well, this could be like Moose Hunter's Paradise, right? They're like
just shoot right through the ceiling.
Yeah, you don't have to bring all expensive tents. You buy like one roll of plastic and then you put it up in one day. That's pretty slick. Oh, we gotta check on this barbecue. I say barbecue because I can smell it from there. Here, from there, from in there. Oh, dude, look at that fat sizzling. That's fat. Delicious, delicious squirrel fat. I'm worried it's gonna drip out, but there's nothing really I can do about it. So that's a pitfall. It's spit roasting. Maybe I should have. Oh, beautiful! Look at that deliciousness. The water is boiling. The squirrel is sizzling. What more could you ask for? I'm thinking this is almost done, and I should probably pull it off so that Kevin can have a taste of it before he takes off. I think he'll have a bite of the squirrel and a drink of swamp water. That water is done. We can pull that all off. Beauty. It's got a little bit of sizzle on there. It's a little bit burnt, but it's like barbecue burnt. In the back, I think that's like it's burnt in the back strap because that's the thinnest part here. But we got some really thick, juicy, tender legs that should be delicious. And that fat, I think that fat is really what made it go. Gave it that barbecue texture. So I think we're gonna eat inside the tent. We earned it, and so we might as well enjoy it. And I still gotta go check those rat traps, see if we don't have some pelts to maybe process. This should be enough food for today, but we're always looking about survival on the next adventure. And it'd be nice to make some squirrel hats. I don't know what they use the squirrels for. I think they mostly use the tails. I know they use them for fishing lures, MEPs. They'll actually buy them off of you. So if you don't want to send them off to the Fur Harvesters Federation, you can sell them. And I think in the US, as long as it's legal for you guys to harvest them, you can send yours in too. I know they were willing to trade a bunch of tails for lures, finished lures, so that was a pretty good deal. All right, let's go see if Kevin likes squirrel meat. Barbecue squirrel meat. Here's water. It's from the swamp. Swamp water.
You brought swamp.
I brought swamp water in. Part of the challenge. Food, water, food. No food, no water, no shelter.
Was it boiling?
It boiled.
You sure?
Yeah, actually I wanted to cool it down. Oh. It just hit a boil, so maybe we won't put it back on the stove. Look at how does that look? How does it look? On a scale of 1 to 10, is it mouth watering? Because it's making my mouth water.
Well, you can't smell it. That's the best part of that thing.
Dude, take a whiff of that.
It smell. I can smell from here. It's just sticking your meat in my face.
You're saying that the best part is you can't smell it?
Well, I can smell it.
That's the best part.
The best part is you can smell it, but the people at home can't smell it.
Well, they can see it. I think it looks good.
Okay, well, the people at home can eat it with their eyes.
Well, they have to. They're going to eat it with your eyes. Because yeah, exactly. You're going to describe what it tastes like.
I see.
It's going to be all up to you.
I have to eat this thing?
Because I might just be full of it. Dude, it's so greasy. Look at my fingers. They're getting greasy.
Here, you want a knife?
Well, I'm going to...
I baked it on the stove, so it's clean.
Yeah.
Because Chris, you cleaned the squirrel with this thing, didn't you?
I did.
So it's clean now. I've cooked it.
It's sanitized.
I hot knifed it.
It's not cleaned. It's sanitized. How about that?
I wiped it on my boot.
Well,
This should be extra clean.
it could be one or the other. It could.
I didn't wipe it on the bottom of my boot. On the side of my boot. Is that the smoke detector going off?
That's the smoke. That's the smoke detector. Dude, it's way over there. That was the secret weapon.
Oh.
I was telling you that you should always have a smoke detector.
Well, maybe.
Hey, look at that. It's going off. It's not even inside. It's going off because of the outside fire. So Kevin's gonna go turn it off because we you can't have that in the wilderness.
I think the smoke got trapped in the bucket.
Anyway.
I don't know. Oh, see, there's
That's your secret weapon. It's carbonation, CO, and smoke, right?
and it talks.
It tells you fire.
What?
Warning, carbon monoxide, monoxide de carbone.
That's just the test. It's my question all the time. Is it cooked?
I believe so.
You eat it first.
Oh, it's so hot though. I think you're gonna have to hold it, and I'll have to.
I'll hold your meat.
It's a target. It's a turkey. I was gonna say.
That kind of looks cooked.
Dude, that's 100% cooked. Me first?
Well, no, if that's the most cooked piece.
It is probably the most cooked piece.
Is there fur on it?
Oh, the underside was very tender.
That's pretty good.
That's not pretty good. That's really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Here, you want?
I want the cooked piece.
Well, I think you probably want the tender piece rather than just like straight up cooked.
No, I think I'll just eat the cooked piece.
I'm going with what's the guy's name that he talked about how food, eating good food was a risk.
Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain. He's like sometimes you got to take risks when you want to eat good food, and what he meant was don't overcook your steak.
But didn't he decide to? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's fur in that.
He's no longer with us. The fur's fine. The fur's cooked.
I don't want the fur.
Dude, that's better than freaking turkey.
There you go.
Oh, look at that. Look how tender that is. Look how freaking juicy that is. You want that?
No, it's okay. I had my piece.
This is really, 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 really good.
You should have brought a bun. Oh, you're not supposed to bring any food to this thing, right?
Mm.
If we had a bun, like a cheese bun or something like that, put the little chunks of meat on that thing.
Dude, that's
eat like a sandwich.
That's 100%.
More of a sandwich kind of guy.
Well, you could sandwich it, but look at that. That's 100% awesome. Dude, that's 100% meat, man. That is actually the most tender, most delicious squirrel I've ever had. It's so greasy too. It's so fatty. That's money. That's really, really good. Ball off the bone tender, man. Beauty. That's a win. We're not just surviving, man. This is freaking thriving. Yes! Now we gotta wash this down with some swamp water. I had to get Kevin to film that segment and he really enjoyed it. Dude, that's really good.
I don't doubt you.
You lost 4 words?
Yeah. I don't want to eat all your food. I'm going home at the end of this thing.
That's true.
You're staying overnight. You gotta fatten up. You gotta eat here, I'll just dangle my meat.
Dude, sometimes things don't turn out, but this really did turn out.
I think every time I've been here, it's turned out. I think it's because I make the fire.
Maybe. Or maybe I'm just getting better. Dude, look at that's like bacon.
You know what you should do is do like a restaurant in the forest.
To that. That's burnt bacon.
You put bacon on this thing?
No. That's burnt bacon.
I think it has a lot to do with the spices you put on it.
No, I think the key is it's a winter squirrel. It's got tons of fat in there. That is the best squirrel I've ever had in my life. That you could serve to people and be like, what's that, squirrel? No. No. That's not a squirrel. Like, no, that's squirrel. Squirrel fat's awesome.
Well, if it didn't look like a squirrel, I think it'd be hard pressed. Like that thing on a sandwich. I'm telling you, if I had brought a bun.
Bottom's not too hot. Jeez. Might have to wait a second.
Throw some snow in there.
Does that defeat the purpose?
I don't know.
We got some clean tent snow.
Eat some snow.
Just plop her in there.
I think it defeats the purpose actually.
No, but it's still purified.
It's purified snow.
Ow. Okay, well I put my whole fan in there, so it should be good.
No.
Now you're not gonna drink it?
Ah.
I taste squirrel and adobo still. Tastes fine.
Yeah, it's a pass.
You're out?
Yeah, I'm out. I'm the control. Let's see how he feels tomorrow.
Food, fire, water, and shelter. The only thing is if I survive the shelter, and I still want to check my squirrel traps, so stay tuned. Or maybe this whole thing will collapse.
I don't think it's gonna collapse. It'll blow away, but I don't think it's gonna collapse. It's gonna roll down into the forest if it goes anywhere.
Well, we're gonna see how well it withstands the heat over the night too. Whatever's left, I'll put down in the swamp water and make a stew for it for breakfast. That's really winning. Well, I'm gonna keep eating this, so 100%. This is a pretty cool camp setup now, man. It's like we got fires all over the place, which just makes it more campy. Got a tripod. Tripods always make it campy. I got a belly full of food, feeling good about life, thinking about my traps, hoping my traps are working. I don't know if they're gonna work, and I gotta make sure I got enough wood. So I think Kevin's going to give me a hand. We'll get another load because we've almost burnt all the stuff that we've cut already, and I need enough chunks, little chunks, that I can feed that fire for the rest of the day. Rest of the night. Well, the light of the day is fading and we gotta get ready. Well, I gotta get ready. I think Kevin's gonna boot it out of here before the coyotes come out and attack all of us. They could just shred that plastic tarp and get right in there and start mowing down. I'll just throw coals at their eyeballs. And then the whole thing will go up in flames. That's a bad scenario. I hope that doesn't happen. Kevin's gonna get the chair put together that Ray from Riverbend Longbows. See if it's comfy, and I can sit around the fire and dream about the coyotes, raccoons, turkeys. I don't know. I'll dream about something. Maybe something better than what's going on in the world these days. 100% sure we're doing this wrong, and Ray will let me know how to do it properly. I think skinnier sticks. I did cut a couple of little skinny sticks, so if I rebuild it. I don't know if I'll do on this trip, but I think skinnier sticks and maybe shorter. But we did lay it down and we wrapped it and frapped it. So it should be tighter now.
Can I try it?
Yeah, you can give it a go.
I built it for... It's actually... You know what? It's better than sitting on the ground.
Sitting on the ground sucks.
Yeah, this is actually... It's got some... It's like saddle support. You know when you get one of those fancy bike seats and it's got the little cutout in the middle? My camera's sliding down. I'm moving out of frame. Oh, there I am again. It's better than sitting on the ground.
And it's light.
It's light. Well, you just make it when you're there, when you got nothing better to do when you're camping.
Thanks, Ray, for sending that. Appreciate it. And the arm guard too. I got to fire that up. Maybe I'll go for a walk, check for the squirrel traps now, and I'll probably leave them overnight. So if I catch one, like they're active just before dark quite a bit, and then they're super duper active in the morning. So if I don't have anything by now, definitely by morning. But if you want a bow, Riverbend Longbows makes them custom, and I think he's in the business of taking orders right now. Arm guards, I think he's got some for sale too. So you'll have to check him out. I'll put that link down below. His good friend. hard with the snow pants on. Make sure we're in good. See if we can't spot a cottontail or squirrel. Whatever's moving. This hour of the day. Dead. Dead. I killed it. I could kill something with that. It could happen. Check out that penetration. Deadly. Wooden arrows. Feather fletching. Dynamite, man. All right, I'm gonna lead the way. Kevin's gonna film. He's heading home. Check our traps. I hope we have a trap. Hope we have one set off. And if we don't, we can check the trail camera just to see what's going on. Maybe we have to rejig things. I don't know. I've never trapped a red squirrels before. Not with a rat trap. Well, I didn't see anything coming in. Could be cottontails around at any moment though. They're pretty sketchy though. They're very nocturnal. We'll check our traps here. We got trap number 1. This is the one we caught the black squirrel on, and nothing. Not disturbed or anything. And looking at the other one over here, and we got nothing. Nothing. But it looks like there's some activity on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check that trail camera real quick, and we'll see what's going on. Check both cameras, see if we don't see any activity, and if we do, then we can adjust things, right? So let's give it a quick check. Yep. Oh man, we got a squirrel right on the stump. He's sniffing around. Looks like he keeps freaking out as soon as the camera flips on. So that's definitely a factor here as far as us catching anything. I think if we leave it here a little bit longer, they're gonna get more and more used to it, and they're gonna get more and more comfortable with it. And I think that temptation, especially in the morning, of the competitiveness of the squirrels around here, one of them is just going to get so feisty it's actually going to trip it. That's my guess. So you guys have to stick around a little more to find out, as do I. So I'm going to get my bow, stalk my way back. I don't want to get lost out here in the dark. I want to make sure I'm nice and comfortable, everything's organized for bed tonight. So I'll see you guys back down there. I don't know if you guys saw that, but you might have heard it. Oh, it was a turkey. It was actually doing an alarm call, so it spotted me before I spotted it. It's just up here in the hardwoods. When they're happy, they purr. That's a content feeding turkey, but when they get upset, they pop. And then when they get excited in the spring, the females make a totally different sound. And of course I can't gobble, but I can try. We gotta save those tactics for spring though. How beautiful it is out here. The sun is setting, you can tell the lighting has changed a little bit. And we're about to get hunkered in. I'm gonna take this bow down because it's not good to keep it strung up for too long. And we'll get our bed made and settle in for the night. But I'm curious to see how long term this fares. We got our stew broth going on, and I should go grab that squirrel fat from around the corner here. Actually do that now before I forget. I had kind of a bad dream when I was walking back that I actually would forget to get the fat, and then an animal would come and pluck it right off here. Like, this is perfect pickings for a bird. Oops, I lost my heart. I need that. A little chunk of heart meat and the globules of fat and the liver. We're gonna add this to the stew right now. I think that's a fair thing to do because then it'll broth overnight and it'll be a nice fortified breakfast meal for us. So, whoops, I gotta wash my arrows. I don't puncture the hole in there. So let's plop those goblets in there. deliciousness. That's all gonna liquefy. Maybe we'll add a little bit more adobo in there just to get it to flavor, and that'll broth all night long. Beauty. Ah, this is awesome. This tent is freaking amazing. I don't care what you say. It's like the perfect size. Like compared to my snow trekker tent, my snow trekker tent's a little bit too compact. I don't know how wide we are, but I know the snow trekker I think it is. It's 10 feet by 13 feet. And I don't know what we are here, but it seems like just having this extra space, or maybe it's because it's just me in here. This is the perfect size. You guys hear that? That's wet snow. I don't think it's rain, but not quite snow. I hope it turns into snow. Snow would be good, rain would not be good. Somewhere in between would be all right. As long as it sheds it, we'll be in business. All right, well, let's clear off my bed here. We'll get everything straightened out because pretty soon it's gonna be dark. I got lots of Olight flashlights, so I'm pretty good. We got our smoke detector. That's ultra important. It's gonna help me sleep a lot better. But we got the M2R Olight and the Seeker 2 we got as well. And then actually Kevin hung up the O lantern. What is it called? I forget what it's called. O lantern. Yeah, I got it right. The O lantern is hung up from the ceiling, so that should brighten this thing up completely. All right, back to bedding. Let's get this straightened out. The only thing we're missing really in here is a nice, well, over there would be perfect for a table. I should put a request in for Kevin. But we're gonna keep this shelter here long term. Part of the reason why we built this is because we can keep it here and we can test to see how long it lasts. You know, we're obviously kind of early in the winter right now, and it'll be interesting to see if it lasts the entire winter, especially under the snow loads and such, or if, you know, it gets any punctures from tree limbs landing on it or anything like that. But once the frame is built, which is obviously the case right now, then you can always just come back and put a, you know, more durable tarp on top of it. You can even use recycled materials like what they use for lumber. Well, I really did appreciate having Kevin help me, and Dawn, and obviously Kevin for keeping me company throughout the day. I thought it was snowing out, but I'm looking at the sheeting here and it's wet. It is water wet. It is not snow at all. Thankfully, it's not dripping like at all. It's 100% dry in here. All dry all the way to the top. You can see well, maybe you can't see, but the outside layer is wet. The inside layer is completely dry on both sides. So that's good news. The wind's picking up a little bit, not too bad. So maybe there'll be a change in temperature coming in part way. Maybe we'll get some a little bit colder weather. It'd be nice if this wasn't like rain, sleet, because if it starts sticking to the outside, it's going to produce a layer. But it's on an incline enough that I think it should shed it decently. That's what I'm hoping anyway. We're in our last little bit of light here. And I'm set. I don't know where I should put the smoke detector. Maybe under the bed. No, under the bed's probably not a good idea. Maybe I'll put it up. I'll put it up over here on the chair so it's at a reasonable height. It's higher than me, so if it goes off, it's because there's smoke at that level. Could put it at the top as well, but I think that'll be fine. Yeah, I'm liking this. This is beautiful. Loving this. Glad it worked out. I wasn't sure for a bit, but it turns out it works good. We got lots of. We could hang stuff on the wall too. It's like a real legit hunt cabin. Fire outside's still going. We'll let that one die out. We'll make sure the one in here stays going. Even if you have a bed of coals, all the better in the morning. But just gonna wait a little bit longer before I hunker down, strip down, and get super comfy and just enjoy a long night's sleep. Because that's the way it goes when you do the solo stuff, especially in the winter. It's a long night, man. But you get to clear your thoughts and get to sit there and poke the fire and just chill out. With this rain coming down, I am super happy that we built this shelter, and I didn't do some other kind of shelter on a no food, no water, no shelter survival challenge, because this is hypothermic weather. That rain is persistent, consistent, and the temperatures don't change. This would be the end of me. Well, maybe not actually, you know, but you know what I mean. We've got the O lights running. This is the O lantern. It works pretty good because it casts a 360 degree light, and that's what it's designed to do. And it's got a bump sensor on there, so after you turn it off, see how it's lit up there? I don't know, maybe you can, a little bit of red there. But if you bump it, it turns up. It turns on in the middle of the night. Just hit it. And of course I fired up my other lights just to get a little bit more ambiance. The M2R, and I've got the Seeker as well. Just cast, and I'm just shining it off the walls here. See how bright that gets. Pretty freaking awesome. Fire's going good outside, although I'm not going to maintain it for too much longer. And yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the lights. Pretty freaking sweet. And that roof's working really good too. No leaks yet. Nothing to report. So it's shedding as intended. Beauty. Loving this. It's awesome. Anyway, gonna get out of my boots and get comfy and settle in and enjoy my time in the woods. Oh, gotta bring you guys a little bit closer here. I like the size of it. It's like the perfect one-man shelter. Love it. Love it. It's like the right size, man. Whew. Love it. All right, I'm gonna get you guys taken down. Well, I'm excited to go check the traps tomorrow. I think the weather's been a little bit weird, but we did have some activity on the trail camera with the red squirrels. They were right up in the bait. So that's a good sign. I think maybe they're just a little sketched out by them. If the rain doesn't mess up the traps too badly and mess up the activity tomorrow morning, I think we might be okay. We might actually get one. But if I can't figure out this whole red squirrel trapping business, eventually I will. You can mark my words, because now I can go after them. And it's a new species to go after. I've never gone after red squirrels before. Could shoot them easy enough, but then you damage the pelt, and that's not what you want to do. That's why you want to use the traps, because it produces less pelt damage. And moving forward, we're going to be looking at coyote. Want to do some snaring of coyote, and all the other things. Oh, we'll just lose a light here. One light just went out. Oh no, I just dropped it. That's what happened. It fell down. Anyway, we're all good. So yeah, I'm gonna end tonight off right now, because I feel like I'm rambling at this point in time. I don't have much else to say. So I'm gonna tuck in here, and I'll check back with you guys tomorrow morning. Good night. It's actually kind of a mixture of water and sleet. It kind of switched midway through, which I was thankful for. And I let the fire go out. Like, there was no point in keeping it going because I was nice and toasty. So there's a little bit of coal left. I don't think there's very much heat left to warm up my breakfast. So it's congealed on top. Can you guys see that? So all that fat recongealed. I might have a sip of it this morning. That's all right. It's kind of rich. Squirrely. Well, it's kind of adobe. It's like eating adobo. It's kind of a mixture of bacon adobo. How about that? Bacon butter adobo. So the plan today is I'm going to pack everything out right now. Get my sleeping bag all packed out. And then we're gonna go check the squirrel trap, see what we got going on. We got a beautiful day today. It's a little bit, it's actually pretty mild for winter. We got a little bit of frost going on the leaves and such. You can see the outside, it fared pretty good. All that snow, ice pellets kind of stuck to it, which is not the ideal circumstances, but you can see there's no perforations on the outside of the tent at all on both sides. But this is kind of the worst conditions you can have for any kind of winter tent, and it fared really well. It actually seems like it seamed up pretty good. So it performed really well. Obviously the door is protected from the rooftop, and so it didn't get any snow on it at all, and the inside is noticeably drier. You can see how I've got things set up here with my lantern now. But yeah, I'm gonna tear it down and we'll go check our traps. But I wanted to talk about the tent real quick and just tell you guys, like, this is an awesome tent. If you need to set up like a makeshift bug out shelter or moose camp or deer camp, you got a permanent place to put your stuff, or semi-permanent. This could be a 3-season, well, it's a 4-season really with this wood stove. Do it. This, I highly recommend this. This worked really, really well, and I think the total cost is maybe 25 bucks in plastics and screws. Hardly anything, and all the wood is all dead because you want it to be nice and light. So highly recommend this tent. This worked awesome. I did notice some raccoon tracks in and around here. I didn't have I have the trail camera on. I tried to leave it on overnight, but it was actually turning on because of the fire. So it would have been cool to see if anything wandered through. I will turn the camera back on, so maybe you'll see some future trail camera footage with this tent becoming naturalized in the environment. That'll be kind of neat. We're gonna go check the squirrel traps right now. I'm super excited. This is the beauty about trapping, and I'm gonna include more of this on the channel, is to be able to set traps and then come back and check them to see if they work, see if you can improve your techniques on tricking wild animals. And because I got my trapping license, I can trap all kinds of different things now, which is gonna be fun. It's gonna open a whole new chapter on the channel, so I hope you guys will stick around for that. All right, without further ado, let's go check our traps. Alrighty, you guys, let's have a look at our traps. Oh, I forgot the one on the tree. The one on the tree. Oh my! We got a kind of a double catch on here. It's a kind of a double catch. We got caught by the tail, and then perfect catch right behind the heads. That's instant kill. If you guys are checking, you're trapping like mice and rats and stuff like that in industrial places or at home and stuff like that, you know you want to get that right behind the neck, catch instant death, and that's what we managed to accomplish. So this platform here worked perfectly. I don't know if there's any tracks on here, but we can always check the cameras to see. It's going to tell the full story. I do see some tracks down here on the ground, so I don't know if they crawled up the tree or they made use of the branch, so that will be a key bit of information as well. But the approach, we set it up perfectly, and I don't know if I explained too well why I did it the way I did it, but primarily I want the squirrel to come in from this direction. I don't want them to be climbing here on the mechanism and then getting caught or getting yeeted all over the place. You want them to kind of come in this direction here, and it worked both ways. So you don't have to get too super fancy with the stump business. You can just use a tree just like so, and they will climb up the tree, and then they'll be in the perfect orientation to do it. I mean, they could come from the top, but I don't think an animal prefers to have its head down, facing down. You guys hear that over there? Next thing I want to try is snaring squirrels. I want to try that because snare wire is a lot easier to carry than rat traps. Rat traps are pretty easy to carry, but snares is a lot easier. So I want to try to do a run pull. So I might do a separate video just on survival snaring. Now that we can snare squirrels, that's the way to go. Maybe the way to go. Maybe the rat traps is the way to go. Maybe you just pack 10 rat traps and you got yourself some food. So there we go. It worked. If you watch the whole video right full stop, really do appreciate you having you along. You can subscribe or not. I don't care if you subscribe, but I really do appreciate you guys joining me on these adventures. I had a blast on this one. I really did. Yeet.